Hey Gems, it's Nicole Bradford here. I'm going to do a quick video on some stamping. So those of you out there with these Gold Mine and Cocoa stamps can start using your stamps because we need to see some in our feed in this group. So I was lucky enough, I got these off of the Buy Sell Trade group, and I did a sample stamp to show you guys that I used it. And I will show you guys a couple different ways to use it. So I'll use this notebook that the person who sent me, her name is Kristen, that sent me my stamp, she sent me this notebook. So the first thing that I will say is that I do use VersaFine ink. I do really like the VersaFine. I would say definitely do some research because there are different inks that you want to use for different papers, whether it's alcohol based or not. And then also depending on the paper that you're using on whether the ink will soak into the paper. There's also really nice inks out there for if you're doing watercolors or if you're coloring it in. It's all kind of stuff. So depending on what you're using, you might want to use a different ink. But in this case, I will use, this is regular like copy paper, it feels like. And then this is the VersaFine. So I am going to, what do I want to use? I'll use this girl here. And so these are clear stamps. You keep these to store them in. And then this is an acrylic block. They come in different sizes. I have some small ones. I have square ones. I have a big one that has a handle on it. So there's a bunch of different sizes. And then I am just going to lay my stamp down and then it clings right to it. Now, the first tip that I would give you is that when you're inking your stamp, don't stamp this way. Take your ink and stamp it on your stamp. That prevents you getting too much ink on your stamp, and it prevents the ink from getting in here, the like not raised spaces, which you don't want ink on because then you won't be able to see your image clearly. So you just lightly tap, 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 tap. And then go ahead and line up your stamp and then place it. You want to lay it down evenly and you want to apply even pressure, because if you apply pressure up here and not down at the bottom, then you aren't going to get a clear stamp. You also want to make sure to not like rock your stamp because then you won't get a clear image. You just want to push down, hold for a few seconds, and then lift up. And you can see I actually, this is the first time I'm using this one, so sometimes that's not super clear. So I'm gonna do it one more time. And I actually got ink on my desk, so I am just gonna wipe that off really quick so that it doesn't stain my desk. Okay, so sometimes the first image doesn't turn out perfect, which is completely normal, which is why I always recommend stamping on like a separate piece of paper. This is the first time this one's being used. And then we're just gonna ink it up one more time. And there also are tips out there for like, let's say you're doing something that just no matter what you do, the stamp will not lace evenly. There's like the eraser trick where you take like a regular pencil eraser and put that on there. So if this doesn't stamp clearly, we'll do that next. Lay it down, apply even pressure. And I do recommend just hold it there for a few seconds. Give the ink some time to kind of soak into the paper. That looks so much better. I probably would still do, let's see. Yeah, I'd probably still maybe do the eraser trick. Maybe I'll try one more stamp. Oh, that looks good. Okay, so third time's a charm with this one. These spots here are literally just how the stamp is made because she has ripped jeans. So this one, like I saw, you had to do it 3 times. But now you have a nice clear image with your black ink. Now you can use like baby wipes, or I have these like ink away wipes. They work the same as baby wipes. I just had to buy them to find out. And then you want to make sure to clean your stamp after every time that you use it. You do not want to be lazy and just put your stamp away without cleaning it, because it just don't do it. End of story. Don't do it. Okay, so cleaned my stamp. I am going to peel this off and put her right back where she belongs. And then that's that. Now, let's do a patent. I thought I had pulled another patent off because I really liked it. Oh, here she is. Okay, so now I have a patent. I'm gonna put her on here, and I'm actually gonna do, so another ink that I like are chalk inks. These are more like chalk inks. They're good for your planner because they don't bleed through because they're a lot lighter. So we'll use this blue here. Of course, I got it on my finger. And then same thing, hold your stamp block, ink your stamp. Do not put the stamp on the ink. And you just want to make sure that it's evenly distributed. And this one's going to be a lot lighter, but I just want to show you what the chalk inks are. And it's nice because, like I said, it doesn't bleed through like planner paper and stuff. And then there's our patent, nice and crisp. So you really, the important part is do not rock it. Do not apply more pressure on one side than the other. Like, set it down. Let's see if I can get some more ink off of here. Set it down. Hold the pressure even, and then remove. No, there wasn't enough on there, but that's the important part. Now, I want to show you, if you really want to get fancy, you can use this heat tool. So anybody who has a heat tool and wants to figure out what to do with it, I'm about to show you. And embossing powder, a Versamark watermark stamp pad. And this is important. This is the most important part. And I do recommend a tray like this, which you'll see why. So I will move to the next page. And we're going to pull this dowel out. This is one of my favorite dowels, y'all. I think she is gorgeous. Where's my block at? Okay. Clean this last stamp that we used. Now, when you clean it, you're not going to get every bit of the ink off, but you want to get the majority of the ink off. Okay, so now we'll use this babe here. Layer down. And then we're going to pull out our Versamark. Looks like this. It's a watermark ink. And dab it. Make sure you have a really good coverage. Okay, and then we are going to put her down. Again, even pressure. Hold it for a few seconds. And then lift straight off the paper. Now, this is the fun part. So you're going to take your embossing powder. This comes in a ton of different colors. We're going to hold it over our tray. And I'm just going to sprinkle it over the area that we stamped in. Put as much as you want on there because you want it fully covered. Let it sit for like a second or two, and then we're going to tap it off of the paper. And then you'll see something like this. Do not touch this yet. Just tap off the excess. If there's like a random stamp line, you want to like kind of wipe around to get the gold embossing powder off. And then with this tray, it has a spout, so you can dump it right back into the embossing powder container so that no embossing powder goes wasted. And this little mini broom thing is nice because it just gets it all out of there and back into the jar. Cover your embossing powder up so it don't get spilled. And then warning, it's about to get loud. So if you have your volume up, I'm about to turn on my heat tool. And you're going to take your heat tool and just move it over this, and then you'll watch the magic happen. Beautiful. Oh, there's one more spot. So then what happens with the heat tool is it heats up the embossing powder, and then it melts it, and then it gives it that metallic finish. So pretty. So pretty. I'm going to do it again because I have some black embossing powder. So maybe you can see it a little bit better. I just think that gold is just so pretty. Stamp again with that watermark ink. A nice even stamp. Few seconds, and then lift straight up off the paper. Grab our tray, and I have my black embossing powder. Yeah, so excited. I want all the stamps. So anybody got some stamps they ain't using, I want all the stamps because this is what I like to do with it. Okay, so now you can see that it just has the powder over it. I'm going to dump this back in. And if anybody wants to know where you can get the embossing powders, I used to work at Paper Source, so that is where I have most of my collection from. But you absolutely can get them from like Michael's. I think Joann's has them. Most likely Hobby Lobby too. So now we have our powder. And then heat tool. It's about to get loud again. Okay, so now you can see that it melted the black powder, and the lines are just so crisp on this stamp that it just, you can see every little curl of her hair. It just looks really good. I'm gonna do one more just because I'm enjoying myself, and wipe my stamp off. We're gonna use a patent because I wanna see how the patent hair looks. My stamp pad. And I will say, with people who say that they have issues with their stamps, if you're following these tricks or these tips, one, make sure that you're stamping evenly. Two, that you're holding it and pressing it into the paper for a few seconds. Give it time for the paper to soak it up, and be mindful of the paper you're using. If you're using like a buttery soft paper, a regular ink may not sit on that. It may smear because it may be alcohol based and not soak into the paper. And use the eraser tip of like erasing over after if you've done a couple stamps and it's still not stamping evenly. And then outside of that, make sure you're using good inks. Like I said, I like the VersaFine. Color box is okay, but the ink makes a difference too. So let's see what this patent looks like. Put patent here. Nice even push. Do not rock your stamp. Lift up. Cute. Okay, I'm gonna wipe this off because I want to try it with the embossing powder too. Wipe it off. Nice even stamp. And then I'll use the black embossing powder so it's nice and easy to see. Just lightly tap to get all the excess off. If you're working with kids, you can do the embossing powder, but I would highly recommend that you do this portion back into the container. Just speaking from experience of working at Paper Source. Okay, loud one more time. Okay, and it melted it. Look how pretty that is. And this, you could touch it. You could feel that it's raised. And it just looks so pretty. So, I just wanted to show y'all how to use your stamps, give you some tips and tricks that have worked for me. If you have any questions, put some in the comment section. And then also, I want to see you use your stamps. Bye.